first gameplay from MotoGP 2015, riding along here on the Yamaha of Jorge Lorenzo at Silverstone. A very brief preview at this stage. The game's going to be out in around a month or so's time, something like that, so around the latter half of June, and so we're going to be looking at the improvements coming this year. Now, the game will contain all of the 2014 and 2015 seasons. There's lots of new modes that's being added to it, lots of legendary riders being included in the game. The package itself is coming along really nicely at the moment, and so of course this was just a very quick look for me to look at the bikes and the handling and just show you guys the visuals. Now, in terms of the bike feel and look, there's lots of subtle changes. Some of that's probably been brought about by Ride. I don't know if many of you got to play Ride. I mean, obviously Ride was released and it had a load of bugs at launch, especially on the console versions, which was a real shame for a lot of people because it was fun to play. And once they fixed all the issues, I hope some of you did have a chance to get into it, because it was one of the better bike games released in recent years, and it had a nice sort of more intuitive feel to it. The turn-in was slightly better. Back to MotoGP, they assure me that the same bugs that affected Ride won't be featured in this game. A lot of work's going on this time to make sure it's nice and solid. I do hope that the frame rate is better on the console versions than Ride. I did feel that the frame rate, again, was another thing that let the game down. And I ran my 60 frames per second PC video, and it just made such a huge difference. So running on the PS4, this will be running at 30 frames. Lots of reasons behind that, complexity of bikes and everything else and the sides of the field, but either way they're putting a lot of work into the detail and of course new handling as well. So new handling, braking distances are longer this time. Getting the bike settled in the corner this is running on full simulation at the moment. The AI is on medium difficulty, but I was taking my time just learning how to ride the bike and finding the way past. I'd need to do lots of laps. It wasn't easy to just jump straight into simulation when you haven't played these MotoGP games for a while and get your bike around the course. But braking distances were key, and knowing how and when to use your various brakes and everything else, and how to get the bike in and balance the throttle. I found the high-speed corners to be the most challenging, simply because the bike just sort of understeers a little bit, and you can see there, you know, I couldn't get on the power. The bike's a bit slow at turning in, and I spoke to the developer about that, and I said, you know, when I played Ride, I found I was able to really get the bike in a lot easier. You know, he mentioned, you know, the difficulties in riding a MotoGP bike. You know, it is a tough bike to ride, and you know they're conveying that in the simulation that's running within the bike that you see here. So there's lots of detail that has been added to MotoGP this year. There are a couple of little visual glitches. Again, ignore those. That's my recording software, unfortunately. It gives it a bit of an authentic TV feel. But yes, unfortunately my recording system, my Elgato HD60, is a little bit unstable when it comes to recording. It has to be said at times. It's a bit of a pain because we only had one go on this to record it, and hence that's why we're having to go with what we've got for the moment. But no doubt we'll have lots of coverage in the future, and we'll be able to show a lot more on all console versions. So what are we expecting? All round a solid bike game, solid MotoGP game that looks and plays like MotoGP, that has everything a fan could want, plus lots of extras in terms of the bikes, the modes and everything else. So do check out the website. We've got lots of information about the game on the website, and of course we'll be continuing to keep that updated as all the news on MotoGP comes through, plus a detailed review in the coming weeks as well. So have a look there at the replay along with the gameplay. Now it's just a final lap just of the gameplay where I'm working my way around, gradually getting quicker and quicker. You'll see the rider animations just a little bit more dynamic. You know, it's been improving every year. I mean, everything's had little improvements. There's lots more sort of texture detail, visual detail, you know, refined lighting. There's lots of little things that have been done to improve it this year. And you know, these MotoGP games have come a long way for Milestone over the past few years, or at least from the. I remember playing Silverstone on SBKX a few years ago, and we had the mountains They've all gone now. No, it's a proper Silverstone now, and it's all been modelled and lots of detail there. You can see the wing in the distance, so draw distances are good. So generally handling, I think I found on this game, I found it to be quite difficult in terms of getting into and full simulation. I think it would have been nicer to have tried perhaps a semi-pro setting or something like that they had in there, but as I say, time was limited, and why not just throw me in at the deep end and see how I get on. Going a bit wide that time. Really got to know the braking distances. I mean, the braking distances are quite long, and if you miss your braking point, that's it, you're going wide and there's nothing you're going to do about it. So this is one of the corners I was struggling on as well, just around here. So we've got slow corner, but I found that the mid to high speed corners where I was struggling a bit. I think I actually make it this time. No, it's still a bit wide. I was really struggling on that corner in terms of understeering and oversteering through the corner. It'd need a lot more practice for me to actually find the line. I mean, generally on a game like this, I'd probably do about 15 to 20 laps, at least 20 laps usually, to just get the bike settled and understand where all the braking points are and flowing from corner to corner. But either way, I wanted to share with you some very early gameplay on MotoGP. We're going to be looking at the package in some detail in the coming weeks, and as ever, there'll be more from me very soon.